Have you ever wondered why some cities are bursting with life while others struggle to survive? Or how your food choices are connected to distant seas? We live in an ever changing world, an intricate mosaic where every human action, from the birth of a child to the construction of a factory, shapes the landscape around us. Today, we will take a fascinating journey through human and economic geography, the discipline that helps us understand this complex dance between humans and their environment. It's not just a subject of study, it's the lens through which we can truly read and interpret our planet, understanding how people are distributed, move, work, and how all this creates the societies we live in. Get ready to discover the invisible forces that shape your daily life, from the demographic dynamics that decide the future of nations to the challenges of megacities and the crucial importance of earth friendly agriculture. Let's start with the beating heart of every society, the population. Demography is the fundamental pillar of human geography because without people there is no history, no economy, no society. And the first thing we learn by looking at the distribution of the world's population is that it is incredibly uneven. It's no coincidence that some areas are densely populated while others remain almost deserted. Think of Egypt, a vast country, but almost all of its population is concentrated along the banks of the Nile because there is water there, the vital resource that allows agriculture and life. In contrast, vast regions of Siberia or the Sahara Desert are sparsely inhabited due to extreme climates and lack of resources. There are many factors that influence this distribution. The climate, of course, but also the presence of natural resources such as drinking water, minerals, and soil fertility. Last but not least, economic opportunities play a crucial role, and people tend to settle where they can find work, where there is development, where they can build a better future for themselves and their families. It is a delicate balance, a constant interaction between man and the environment that hosts him. And speaking of movement, let's talk about migratory flows, a phenomenon as old as humanity, but today more than ever at the center of global debate. Every migration, whether internal or international, has the power to profoundly reshape the demographic composition, cultures, and economies of the regions involved. There are people moving from the countryside to the city in search of work, an internal flow that shaped post war Italy and continues in many parts of the developing world. Then there are international movements, often motivated by a combination of factors: economic, such as the search for employment and a better life; political, fleeing war, persecution, or instability; and increasingly environmental, due to natural disasters or climate change that make entire regions uninhabitable. Imagine the story of a family forced to leave their land because of a drought that made farming impossible, or of a young man who crosses continents to find a decent job that simply doesn't exist in his country. These individual stories, multiplied by millions, become the great waves of migration we see every day, posing complex challenges of integration, resource management, and cultural understanding. Linked to all of this is a fundamental concept: demographic transition. It sounds like an academic term, but it actually describes a process that every country is going through or has gone through. It is the transition from a situation in which many people are born and die to one in which both birth and death rates are low. Think of Europe a few centuries ago or many African countries today. Many children are born, but unfortunately, many die young due to disease and poor hygiene conditions. Then, with improved medicine, nutrition, and hygiene, mortality decreased dramatically. People lived longer. But birth rates remain high for a while, causing a population explosion. Finally, with economic development, education, access to contraception, and a change in lifestyle, birth rates also begin to decline. The result, an aging population. Italy, Germany, Japan are clear examples of this phase, have fewer children and more elderly people. This brings with it significant challenges: how to sustain pension and healthcare systems with fewer workers and more retirees. How can we maintain economic dynamism and innovation? These are questions that affect us all, directly or indirectly. Let's now move from population dynamics to the environment in which more and more people choose to live, the city. Urbanization is an unstoppable global phenomenon. More than half of the world's population now lives in urban areas, and estimates say this percentage is set to grow further. The growth of metropolises is driven by a powerful attraction. Cities offer job opportunities that the countryside cannot provide, access to better services, healthcare, education, transport, and a richer cultural life. Think of New York, Tokyo, or even Milan, magnets for talent and ambition. But this exponential growth brings with it enormous problems. Traffic congestion is a daily reality, air and noise pollution erodes the quality of life, and social inequalities are worsening, with pockets of poverty and urban decay coexisting alongside luxurious neighborhoods. Just look at the slums that surround many megacities in Asia, Africa, or Latin America, a stark contrast to the gleaming skyscrapers of the financial centers. Faced with these challenges, a fascinating and promising concept emerges: smart cities. They are not science fiction, but the concrete and technological answer to urban problems. The idea is to use advanced technologies, sensors, the Internet of Things, big data, to improve every aspect of urban life. Imagine traffic lights that adapt to real time traffic, waste collection systems that optimize routes, smart energy grids that reduce waste, or apps that guide you to the nearest parking lot. The goal is clear: to make cities more efficient in managing resources, improve mobility, increase safety, and ultimately raise the quality of life for all citizens. Singapore, Barcelona, and even some initiatives in Turin are examples of how technology can serve a more sustainable and livable urban life. It is an open air laboratory for the future of our living. Moving from home to work, we enter the world of economic sectors, which tell us how humanity organizes itself to produce goods and services. Traditionally, we divide them into three broad categories. The first is the primary sector, which extracts resources directly from nature: agriculture, fishing, livestock farming, and mining. And here, a crucial issue is sustainable agriculture. Today, it's not enough to produce food. We must produce it in a way that doesn't destroy the planet. Think of the impact of pesticides on soil and water, or deforestation to create new arable fields. Sustainable agriculture aims to produce food responsibly, preserving the environment, biodiversity, and natural resources for future generations, while ensuring food security, meaning that everyone has access to sufficient nutritious food. It is a huge challenge, especially with a growing world population, but it is a challenge we must win. Techniques such as precision agriculture, crop rotation, or the use of renewable energy on farms are steps in this direction. Then there's the secondary sector, the transformation sector. Here, raw materials from the primary sector are taken and finished products are created, from cars to clothes, from computers to furniture. And at the heart of this sector are energy resources, the true engine of economic activity. Without energy, the world would come to a standstill. Here begins a crucial debate that will define our future: renewable energy versus fossil fuels. Fossil fuels, coal, oil, natural gas, have fueled the industrial revolution and economic growth for centuries, but they are polluting, exhaustible, and responsible for climate change. Renewable energies, solar, wind, hydroelectric, geothermals, are clean, inexhaustible, and represent the path to a sustainable future. The transition to these sources is a race against time that requires massive investments and radical changes in our habits. Another key aspect of the secondary sector is industrial localization. It's no coincidence that car factories are concentrated in certain regions, or technology factories in others. The choice of where to build a factory depends on many factors: the availability of skilled and affordable labor, proximity to raw materials or outlet markets, the presence of adequate infrastructure such as ports, highways, and electricity grids. Think of Silicon Valley. It didn't happen by chance, but thanks to a combination of top notch universities, funding, and a culture of innovation. It is a careful geographical strategy that can determine the success or failure of an industry. Finally, we have the tertiary sector, that of services, which has become the main driving force of advanced economies. It does not produce material goods but offers services, from doctors to bankers, from clerks to professors, from programmers to consultants. Within this sector, global trade is constantly expanding. Imagine, your smartphone is assembled in Asia with components that come from all over the world, and the coffee you drink in the morning comes from South America. This is made possible by globalization and communication technologies that have made the world smaller, facilitating the exchange of goods, services, and information at a speed unthinkable just a few decades ago. This has brought prosperity but also new challenges such as competition between countries and the need for global rules. Another major player in the tertiary sector is tourism, an exponentially growing industry that generates income and creates millions of jobs worldwide. Countries like Italy, with its cultural and landscape heritage, benefit enormously from this. But tourism also has its challenges. Mass tourism can put a strain on the environment, local resources, and the very authenticity of places, as we see in Venice or some overcrowded tropical beaches. Environmental sustainability and intelligent management of tourist flows are essential to ensure that this industry can continue to flourish without destroying what makes a place special. We have journeyed through the complexity of human and economic geography, from the way we are distributed across the planet, to the flows that move us, to the challenges of cities and the sectors that support us. Each element is connected, a piece of a larger puzzle that shows us how we, humans, are an integral part of the Earth system, with the power to shape it and the responsibility to care for it. Understanding these dynamics is not just an academic exercise but an essential tool for building a more equitable and sustainable future for all.